Thank you, Senator Conway. The next is Senator Niall Donnghaile, please.
Thank you, Commissioner, and you're welcome to this morning's meeting. Just to begin by prefacing my questions, Commissioner, in response to some of the earlier points. The questions certainly that were put to you earlier by my colleague Deputy O'Leary aren't questions that were initially raised by Sinn Féin or our party, or any party around this table. They were points and concerns and I think legitimate questions that came from victims' organisations and individual victims themselves. So to try and label fair and legitimate scrutiny and questioning as somehow sectarian, I think just indicates a degree of tone deafness to the complexities of legacy issues that's really off the scale. So to begin my remarks in response to Deputy O'Leary, Commissioner, you made the point about you were almost a wee bit blasé in terms of the concerns around cross-border sharing of information, because you lauded the existing arrangements that are there between the PSNI and the Gardaí around these issues. So one example, and it's good to hear that because it's pertinent to the questions I have. The Dublin and Monaghan bombing in 1974, members of the families there and survivors, Commissioner, are still seeking truth in relation to what happened that day. So I wonder, can you tell us if the Gardaí have been given all of the information they've requested from the PSNI in relation to that case? And if not, what's the current status of the request from the Gardaí to the PSNI in relation to that?
John,
position, please.
Can I refer that to John, please?
I think there's a number of work streams at the moment in relation to a variety of different inquiries, and An Garda Síochána are fully cooperating with each and every one of those. Can I specifically answer the question in relation to the 1974? I can't specifically in relation to that, but I know that work has been done, and we can certainly send a note to the committee on that. But what I can assure the committee is that there is a lot of work ongoing at the moment between An Garda Síochána and the Police Service of Northern Ireland and with the coroner in Northern Ireland in relation to the provision of information. I know that a lot of information has already been provided in other areas of work that's ongoing, but in relation to that specific one, I will have to provide the committee with the detail around that. But I certainly can assure the committee that all committees are being properly they're getting proper cooperation from An Garda Síochána.
Well, I appreciate the response, and I would appreciate such an update, although I do think families will be quite unsettled by the fact that this level of senior management in the Garda Síochána don't have and aren't alert to the current status.
Well, I'm not sure that's an accurate reflection of what I said. I think what I said was that we have provided information. We have provided a lot of information.
Well, the question is, sorry, whether the PSNI have provided An Garda Síochána with all of the information that's pertinent to the case.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is that there is a lot of information that is being exchanged between all of the agencies, An Garda Síochána cooperating with Police Service of Northern Ireland and with the coroner in Northern Ireland and vice versa. And I'm saying that in order that I don't mislead the committee, if we had the question in advance, we would have got all the information and provided it.
Okay.
So it's just as a matter of detail.
Okay, no, well, I take your point on that, and we'll perhaps revisit that then at a later stage. Commissioner, you said, and it was positive that you acknowledged that you would meet victims groups, and there are a number of invitations pending. And obviously, off the back of some of those meetings, and there are some public calls, can you give a reassurance to victims groups that where they do desire An Garda Síochána to take up actively engagement with the PSNI in relation to their cases, that An Garda Síochána will do that on their behalf, were of course appropriate?
Well, yes, of course we're appropriate, and we would seek obviously to cooperate as we do around today's investigations, but also these legacy matters as well. That's a given.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, just regarding the investigation into the death of Dennis Donaldson in April 2006, you'll have perhaps noted the statement from the family solicitors, Madeleine Finucane, who said at the heart of this case is a criminal conspiracy involving state agents in the exposure of Dennis Donaldson as an informer for the RUC, PSNI and MI5, leading to his murder in April 2006. In the cover-up which has followed, Gardaí have invoked, quote, state security to prevent the return of the journal in which Dennis was writing days before his murder. Now, you'll know, Commissioner, that on 22 separate occasions the inquest has been adjourned, and obviously that's causing not only deep distress to Dennis's family, but obviously deep worry and concern to his legal representatives. So in July 2017, the police ombudsman in the North confirmed the investigative value of Dennis's journal to his investigation and given explicit undertaking to the Donaldson family to initiate proceedings to recover the journal. But to the present day, Dennis's journal remains in control of the Gardaí, despite confirming it has no evidential value to Gardaí. Will you direct his journal to be provided to the police ombudsman in the North?
I've just recently received correspondence to the same effect, and that correspondence is being dealt with, and when we get to a conclusion of that, then I'll obviously report that in as well to the committee. We haven't, but the specific point that you raised has been raised in correspondence from the family's solicitor. So that's alive at this moment, and we will quickly have a response.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. Just in relation, turning to Brexit, Commissioner, there was a number of questions put around the issue of community policing and obviously the worry and concern around a border, and we heard an expression or a reiteration from yourself in relation to that concern, but we haven't heard anything around any mechanical preparations. And I know that's a difficult question because of the uncertain time that we are all in. So perhaps maybe just to nuance it, and it's a similar question I asked the Minister a few weeks ago when he was before us. In relation to Ireland's opt-in to the EU Internal Security Fund, can you give us an assurance that no funds from that opt-in are being directed towards the additional militarisation, infrastructure or mechanics along the border, essentially a hardening of the border?
Well, we would not be engaged in any form of, in effect, of militarisation of the border. We intend to police the border, and as I've said, that will be in terms of the community policing that we have, but we have to also be alive to the concerns of the local communities, and they are real concerns, and they may realise actually in terms of an increased crime, but even beyond that then the threats from organised crime and terrorism. But I will want to check through in the specific fund that you've mentioned, and I'll give you then, I can give the committee a written assurance in respect of that. It seems to me very unlikely, but I want to be 100% in terms of the insurance that I'll provide you.
I'll perhaps follow up with you in writing on that, Commissioner, then, just to give you that bit of space to go and check that out. Because obviously I appreciate what you're saying about the community safety and policing concerns. That's a given, but obviously from a political point of view and a societal point of view, there's obviously one of the biggest concerns is in fact the actual re-emergence of infrastructure along the border as well. So again, to move kind of slightly...
Well, can I give that assurance that we have no thought whatsoever towards introducing infrastructure of any sort, in terms of, as you've described it, militarisation of a border, that is just nowhere near our agenda.
Well, that's encouraging to hear. I wish I had have got as decisive an answer from the Minister a few weeks ago, but that's encouraging nevertheless. Two questions I'll kind of put together, Commissioner. Are you concerned, or do you have any concerns about the resource available to and within the Gardaí in relation to cybercrime? And do you believe the Guards have enough equipment and qualified staff to deal with the threat posed by an increased cybercrime threat? And do you also believe you have enough resources and personnel to tackle white-collar crime, including forensic detectives who are able to address financial crime and